So, dear learners, in this particular video, so we will be discussing with the fourth stage of object oriented design. Okay, so that is developing the design models. So this is the stage number 4. Okay, so in the previous video, we have discussed stage 3, that is identifying the principal objects. Is it clear? So once we are able to identify the different sort of the objects, now it is our job to develop the design models. Okay. So now just have a look at what exactly this design model. Design models are nothing but just you try to recall the different system models actually. Okay. So there are variety of system models that we might have already come across as a part of unified modeling languages are concerned. Okay. And these are all a kind of the graphical representation of a system or a part of a system. Is it clear? Okay. So as our approach is object oriented design. Okay. So basically our design models they are going to show the objects and object classes. Okay. And the relationship between these entities. So this is what the overall constitution of that what the design models are concerned here. Okay. And the design models, either it may be a static model or it may be a dynamic model. Okay. There are two types that we can classify the design models. Okay. The static models, the name itself indicates it's a static in the sense what they are going to simply describe the static structure of the system in terms of object class and their relationships. Okay. So here we are going to show only a part of that particular system, okay, in terms of its object class, and how one object class is going to have a relationship with what and another object class. Only that much will be shown here. That is what in the static model. But in the dynamic model, as the name itself indicates, it is going to describe the dynamic interaction between the objects. See there. So here what exactly the things are happening between one object class to the another object. So that will be get exhibited here. Okay. So that we can show it. So exactly what data is flowing here, or what activity is taking place between this object to this object, or because of any particular thing which is happening, because of that how this object is going to change its state from one state to the another state. Okay. So such kind of dynamic nature, okay, that can be exhibited by using what the dynamic models. Okay. So this is what the difference between a static model and dynamic models are concerned. Okay. So some of the very essential examples of the design models that are very popularly that we used to develop during our object oriented design is concerned, they are the subsystem models. So normally the subsystem models, they are going to show the logical grouping of the objects into what the coherent subsystems. Is it clear there? Okay. Then sequence models. So sequence models are going to show the sequence of the object interactions, means what interactions are going to take place from between one object class to the another object class. That can be shown with the sequence, means the sequence of interactions, that is sequence model. Then the another example of the design model is a state machine model. Okay. So here they are going to show how individual objects are going to change their state, okay, from one state to the another state whenever there will be an event is going to occur. Okay. Whenever an event is occurring, or any particular input is acting upon any that particular object class, how that object class is going to change its state from one state to the another state, that will be get exhibited using what the state machine model. Okay. So similarly there are many other popular design models as a part of system models that we can develop in our unified modeling language is concerned, like use case model, aggregation model, okay, so generalization models. So like that there are variety of different sort of the design models that we can develop. Either it may be a type of static model, or it may be a type of what the dynamic model is concerned. Okay. So under this just have a look at there. Normally the very popular at the abstract level, we are going to use the design model that is called as what the subsystem model. See, normally the subsystem models that we told that they are going to show that how the design is organized into logically related groups of what the objects. Okay. So normally the subsystem models in UML is concerned, unified modeling language, we are going to use a diagram called package diagram. Package diagram. Okay. So package diagram is nothing but what it is going to show that, okay, what are all the different subsystems are present in our system. okay, and that every subsystem itself, that you can treat it as what, and another system here, okay. See, for example, say normally this is the notation that we will be using. So for example, say data, weather data, okay, for example, so this is one particular subsystem model in our weather station, okay. So another subsystem that we can identify here is instruments, see there. So this is another subsystem. So like this, and the grouping of all these subsystems will make together what, and weather station here, okay. So this is how the subsystem models will be get represented, okay. It's a type of static model actually, okay. Then another example is sequence model. Sequence model means the sequence diagrams that we can represent. It's a very popular and most useful design model, okay, which is necessary for better understanding of what, especially any system development is concerned, okay. Normally, so most of our systems are going to be get described with the help of these kind of sequence models. So basically, the sequence model, it's a type of dynamic nature of design model actually. So here a sequence of object interactions that we are going to exhibit here, is it clear? And to draw this particular sequence diagram, see there. So here we are going to incorporate the objects. Objects are arranged horizontally across the top here, okay. And then we are going to represent time here. Time is represented vertically, okay. And then interactions are going to be get represented with labeled arrows, okay. And also we are going to represent with some thin rectangles for every object. So which will indicate that what is the lifeline representation of that lifeline, means for what time period that particular object will be active under that particular interaction is concerned, okay. So like that these are all the different part of our sequence diagrams are concerned. Just have a look at here. So here we have taken one simple sequence diagram for it is going to describe for data collection, okay, in a weather station, how the data collection is going to be taken place, okay. So if you observe this particular sequence diagram is concerned, see here, okay. So you see there, here we have listed all the objects here at the top. These are all the different objects like satellite communication, weather station, communication link, weather data. So these are all the different objects, okay, objects and actors, that is information system. So these are all that we have listed here, okay. And if you observe there, our timeline is being represented with the vertical lines here, you can observe, okay. And the interactions have been shown here with the arrow mark, you can observe here. These are all the different interactions which are happening between one object to the another object, okay. And also a thin vertical boxes also you can observe. So these thin vertical boxes will tell that, okay, for what extent of time span under this particular sequence diagram is concerned, these objects are going to be active, okay. So this is what the overall representation of the sequence diagram, or you can call them the interaction diagrams, are concerned here, okay. Just to understand this the overall theme of this particular diagram, that sequence diagram for data collection is concerned. See there, data collection means actually the data should be first there should be a request from the information system to the weather station to collect the data there, because weather station is the one where the data will be get collected. Why? Because in the weather station normally the different instruments will be present, and from these instruments the data should be get collected and it should be sent to the weather information system. So if it is to be taken place, see there what are all the different interactions which are taken place. So data collection is not simply a single activity. See, this is the major advantage of drawing the sequence diagram always. Okay, normally we used to say that collecting the data, we can define it as a single requirement. Is it clear there? But basically, when you elaborate this requirement in terms of this particular sequence diagram is concerned, then we will come to know that there are so many different interactions have to be taken place. There are so many different objects have to be get interacted here. Interaction is required here. Is it clear? Just have a look at there. So how my data collection service is to functionality is to be get executed here. Okay. First, from the information system, a request is to be sent. Okay. Request for what? Report. Okay. That will be sent to the satellite communication. Through the satellite communication, the message will be sent to what? The weather station. Okay. Then the weather station, and every time you can observe here, okay, they dashed arrow mark line, okay, that indicates the acknowledgement, saying that the message has been received at the destination. Okay. So, from the weather station, see there, and communication link will be get established to get the summary of the data. Then see there, from the weather data, okay, it will ask for summarizing the data, and that summarized data will be get returned back. Okay. Then from the weather station, that summarized report will be sent back through the satellite communication back to the information system. See there. So, it means that data collection is not simply just give and take policy here. Okay. So, if you want to collect the data from the information to the information system by a weather station, all these different interaction have to be taken place. Okay. So, when we look into this particular sequence diagram, then we will realize that how actually this design can be get converted into what? Implementation. That is very important. Implementation means what? The coding. You have to convert this into what? In terms of the coding part. So, here what you call the importance of the sequence diagram that we will come across. Is it clear? Okay. So, similarly, another type of diagram is there, that is state diagrams. Okay. State diagram means actually they are used to show that how the object responds to the different service requests. Okay. And the state transitions are going to be get triggered by these requests, means how my objects are going to change state from one state to the another state. Is it clear there? Okay. And they will always describe the objects at the runtime behavior. Okay. How my objects are changing its state. Okay. So, that we can identify by using these state diagrams are concerned, and it is not necessarily the state diagrams have to be developed for every part of your system. Wherever it is necessary, there we can think of this state diagrams are concerned here. Okay. So, just have a look at the state diagram that we have drawn for our weather station here. Okay. So, anyway, in the previous video, we have described what exactly the weather station. Okay. Now, see there, this particular diagram will show that okay, how my weather station is going to work and how this weather station states are going to be get changed. Okay. Under the circumstances of any events are going to get occur. Okay. So, this is the beginning of this particular diagram, okay, from where my weather station work will start here. So, initially my weather station will be under what? Shutdown here. Is it clear? Okay. Then if my input is restart there, then for the event is restart, then it will change state from shutdown to the running. Is it clear? And when the weather station is under running state, if my event is shut down, okay, it will come back to the shutdown state. See there. Is it clear? Okay. When it will be under running state, is it clear? Okay. So, I can go for collection of the data there. Okay. Then when if I want to collect the summarized data there, see there, the summary, it will go to the summarizing. Okay. Then weather summary will be get completed, it will be get transmitted back to the weather station. Is it clear? So, this is how the report will be get generated. Okay. And under any in some circumstances, my weather station will undergo what? Testing. Okay. So that whenever the test will be get completed, once again the report will be get what? Transmitted back to the running state. Is it clear? And even we can go for configuring that particular weather station. Either we can reconfigure, or we can put our weather station into the power save mode. Okay. And you can observe there, okay, from which state to from shutdown state to you go to any other state, you will be able to come back to what? The shutdown state. So, it is always do remember that our state machine model will be a finite set of states always. Is it clear? Okay. So, this particular overall state machine model will indicate that okay, how exactly my weather station is going to get behave with different states, and how it is going to change state from one state to the another state with what events. Okay. So, these are all the different events here, and all the oval shapes that will be representing what? The states here. Is it clear? Okay. So, this is how we are going to what? Develop the design models like state machine model, or sequence models, or subsystem model, or any use case model, whatever it may be. So, there are different types of system models that we might have studied in our previous chapter. They are all useful in case of this object oriented design is concerned here. Okay.